There we go. All right. Can you tell everyone your name and where you're from?
Well, my name is Marty Martain, and now I'm from Blair, Montana, and the Blackfeet Reservation in Montana. But I used to live on 140 Dorothy Way in Chowchilla, and I loved every year that I was there.
What is your heritage?
My heritage is I'm an enrolled member of the Blackfeet Nation in Browning, Montana. But because of my mother, I'm also part Sioux, part Cree, and French and English. My given name, I can't tell it to you in Blackfeet, but it's Beware of Sleeping Wolf. And it passed from my grandfather to me. It goes from grandfather to grandson. And a year before he died, he gave me his name.
When did you move to Chowchilla?
I moved to Chowchilla in 1967. I was hired by Valley Fertilizer Company, Joe Foster, and actually his dad was still alive then, old Pappy Foster, to be the full charge bookkeeper at Valley Fertilizer. And my son Marty Jr. was born in 1968, and I worked for Valley Fertilizer Company for over 10 years.
Yeah. What sports did you coach in Chowchilla?
Well, to start with, it started with Little League because Joe Foster didn't have a coach for Valley Fertilizer's Little League team. And he came back in the office and said, "Do you know how to coach baseball?" And I said, "Yes," and I wound up with the team. So I coached, like I say, Little League. Then I was one of the coaches that started Pop Warner football in Chowchilla. And then there was talk about starting a soccer team in Chowchilla because Merced and Merced County had teams. And I volunteered to coach the first team, which was actually 10-year-olds up through 14-year-olds. And then the following year after that, we broke it into divisions, under 10, under 12, under 14, and under 18. And I coached soccer until it stopped. The other interesting thing, I don't know if a lot of them remember it or not, but I also was the assistant softball coach at the high school.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. What name did you give to the soccer team that you started in Chowchilla?
Well, because of being Indian, I decided to get cute, and I named them the Thunderbirds. And then a couple years in the coaching, I wound up coaching a second team at the same time, and we named them the Warriors. But everything we did had a name that was an Indian name, and I liked it.
Yeah. What do you know about the history of the Chowchilla Indian?
I know a little bit of it. The town of Chowchilla is named after an extinct Indian tribe that had the name of Chowchilla. They were a tough Indian group, but like all Indian tribes, they were defending their territories and homes. I did find out there was even a Chowchilla gravesite that got dug up in the 30s, and that was covered up for actually a motel complex. And they didn't care about the graves back in the 30s because they were Indian graves. I grew up with watching the Chowchilla Indians play and the mascot they had. I thought it was great. One of my ball players, Johnny Merrill, was Tommy Tomahawk at one year.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great that they had those names. Nowhere in the years that I lived in Chowchilla did the people of Chowchilla disgrace Indians. They were proud of their name, and they still are proud of their name.
Yeah. Do you find the mascot name Redskin offensive at all, or?
No, I don't. And here's part of it. In my years since I've been here, and I now live in Montana, I have ran into many people in the Indian tribes that say we don't have a problem wrong with the mascot names, Braves, Redskins, whatever it might be, as long as they are not disgracing whatever Indian tribe they're representing. I have never seen that kind of disgrace from Chowchilla or many of the teams here in California that have Indian names. Years ago, I defended the town of Chowchilla with a letter saying that I felt they were wrong in trying to get rid of the name, and we stopped it. I was again asked by the superintendent at Chowchilla High, Ron Seals, and teachers from Gustine. And I wrote a letter on their behalf to Governor Schwarzenegger. And when it got up to his level and he vetoed the bill, I thought that was the smartest thing they ever did, because he said it is a local problem, not a state problem. Now I see they're at it again, and I don't like seeing this done to young kids, to schools. This town doesn't deserve what's happening with this newest bill.
Yeah, I agree 100%. What are your thoughts on being forced to change the Chowchilla Redskin mascot? Do you think that's something that the state should? I know you just kind of addressed that, but
well, and that's a question that I have. How does it work that a governor has already ruled on this same thing years ago, that again we're faced with some fool sending a bill through trying to get rid of high school names? The high school kids play under a mascot that they're proud to play under. The town of Chowchilla and Gustine and whatever other school that might be in California that has a problem with this bill, I know they're not out to disgrace the tribes. I have never seen high schools disgrace a tribe. I don't think it's right. I don't think it should never have been brought onto the floor as a bill when a governor already vetoed it and sent it back down to the local level. It is a local level problem. Now, if the town of Chowchilla felt, well, we need to get rid of that name, that's their choice. That's not the state's, it's not the county's, it's not the federal. It's a local place and it belongs there. I come to kind of give you a little more information on me. I went back to college at the age of 73. The past 2 years I've been valedictorian of 2 graduating classes. And the teachers at the Blackfeet Community College, which are 90% Native American teachers, feel the same way that I do. There's nothing wrong with the name as long as it's not being disrespected. Now let's take an example. The Atlanta Braves has that awful chop. That's being disrespectful. The thing you have to remember about Native Americans, they lived like every one of us. They wanted to raise their children happy. They did not want to go to war. They were forced into it by the federal government and by people trying to take their land away. But they lived just like we did. Everyday life, taking care of their kids, taking care of their families, providing for their families the best that they could, just like we do right now. Native Americans are no more different than any other culture that's here in the United States. And as far as I'm concerned, this Indian mascot thing should be put to rest and just left alone. I think it's some lawyer or some law student or some individual out to want to make a name for themselves. Then they can come run around and say, look at me, I made that town take their mascot away, and the guy probably will wind up being one of the poorest lawyers you ever saw.
Yeah. Marty, what would you say the normal student at Chowchilla Union High School, what do you think their connection would be to a Chowchilla Redskin or any Indian ancestry?
Well, first of all, let me top this off with this answer. I'm a Native American historic presenter. And when I talk about Native Americans, I'm including North America, Central America, and South America. They're all Native Americans. I don't care what anybody else says. When the guy landed in the West Indies, they were all Native Americans. I ask this question all the time at my presentations. How much Indian are you in there? And I know if I had an assembly at Chowchilla High School, I could start out with how many of you are Native American. And I would get quite a few of the students stand up. I get people that tell me I'm Cherokee. That's always the one I always hear. But you would see other tribes that we know the names. But the next question, I'd ask those kids to stand up. And the next question I would ask the assembly is, how many of you are of Mexican descent? And I'll bet you I get 3/4 of the student body to stand up. Because Mexicans are Native Americans. They're a combination of the Spanish conquistadors and the Native Americans that were living in this country in South America and in Central America. Then the next question I'll ask is, how many of you have descendants that are from South America or Hawaii or Puerto Rico or the American territories? These are Native Americans if they were born there. So I would bet you that if I had a full assembly of the Chowchilla High School student body, that over 80% would be standing up with some kind of a connection to Native Americans. Thus, they're connected to this whole thing. And the whole town would have that same demeanor. And the town should not be forced to lose. If you're saying we got to take the Redskins away, then you're saying we have to change the name of Chowchilla, because it's an Indian name. And if you go up and down this valley, you're going to find all kinds of towns that are named after Indians.
Right.
The name belongs to the people of that community, and the name belongs to the school, and the kids should be very, very proud that they're playing for the Redskins. They should be very, very proud that the family wants to stand up and defend that name, because it belongs to the town. It does not belong to the state, and it does not belong to the federal people.
Very good.